Guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary and high school age. Today I am going to be sharing the literature selections for one of my high schoolers. So let's get started. Okay guys, so I have said many times before that I struggle when I am choosing books for my middle guy, Jack. He would be a freshman this year if he were in public school, but he is doing a 10th grade year for the most part for all of his resources this year. I struggled to figure out what I wanted to do for his literature, but I finally came up with some books. Most of the literature selections that I have for Jack are Brave Writer resources. So there's only one book that does not have a boomerang or slingshot attached to it, and that is one of the books from the Guest Hollow Government Economics and Personal Finance course. I did choose a couple of the novels from the Guest Hollow course that also had boomerangs or slingshots associated with them, and then I actually went through the Brave Writer resources to look for some books. They have a whole spreadsheet that is broken up by their different levels, and so you can kind of go through and search, and it talks about, you can sort it in, time period or genre or whatever. It's really a great resource. I will leave that linked in the description box if you're interested in checking it out. So I am going to go through these books. I do not have them in order. I will start with the first book that we are starting with, but the other ones I haven't quite figured out, partly because, like I said, a few of the books are from the Guest Hollow program, and I'm not entirely sure when they are scheduled. I think they're kind of scheduled later on, but we may do them earlier. It just really depends on how that program is going. And we are not starting the Guest Hollow program, I don't believe, until August. We do a slow start every year. We're starting with math and English, and then we will add in some other things for my high schoolers as the year progresses. So the first book that we're going to be doing a boomerang for is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. This is a book that I have never read before, but I thought that it sounded interesting, and I think that Jack will really like it. I hope. Most of these books are either sci-fi, fantasy, or dystopian novels, and that's kind of the year that we are going for this year. So I am crossing my fingers. We will see. The next book is Animal Farm, and this is a slingshot from last year. I actually have the graphic novel, and I also have the Kindle version of this book. So we are going to do kind of both of them, and we will see how it goes. Obviously, the slingshot is not for the graphic novel, but I think that this will help give good context and be maybe a little bit more interesting for Jack to go through. The next book is this Fahrenheit 451 or 451, I'm not really sure. I've never read this book. This is part of the Guest Hollow program. It is a boomerang that we are going to be doing at some point during the year. I'm not entirely sure when, but this is the next book. The next book we have is The Outsiders, and I'm really excited about this one. This is a new boomerang for the 2024-2025 homeschool year. This is one of their selections. If you purchase their full year resources, they have full year programs. This boomerang will be available in November, so I will not do this boomerang or book until either December or forward. So that is the next one. The next book is actually part of Emma's Sunlight 630, which is British literature. This is the one book that she does not want to read at all, and I thought that it sounded like something that Jack would actually really enjoy. I'm unsure if Emma is going to read it or not, but I do have it, so I put it on Jack's list, and that is Lord of the Flies, and we are going to do the boomerang associated with this. I don't think that I'm going to take any of the resources from Sunlight 630 to use with this book. I may glance over them and see if there's a particular writing project that can go with this as well, but we are planning on using the boomerang for this book. The next book that I have is Robinson Crusoe, and this is a book that Emma read, I believe, 2 years ago in classical literature. I think it was in the classical literature selections from Sunlight 230, and I thought that that sounded like a really good book for Jack. If he were going through the normal progression of Sunlight literature, which is what I have done for my oldest. He would be in level 230 this year, which is classical literature, and he really was not interested in that. There are a couple of books from that course that I am including for this year. Robinson Crusoe is the first one, and then that has a boomerang associated with it. And the second one is John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. So that is the next book that we have, and I do have a boomerang to go with that as well. Some of these boomerangs are older resources from Brave Writer, so I will leave that linked as well because those have been separated out from that spreadsheet that I talked about earlier. They are still available. They're not as in-depth as the newer content, but I still think that there's a lot of value in those resources. And honestly, they didn't start really updating these, I think, until like 2020. And we had a lot of luck with the older resources prior to 2020. So Pilgrim's Progress is the next book. Then the next one that I have is The Hunger Games. This is my beat up copy of The Hunger Games. Jack has already read this book, so I don't think that I'm going to have him reread it, but I am going to have him do the boomerang for this. And I had actually purchased this boomerang, I think it was last year or the year before, for Jack to do, and we started it but did not get very far because we had an incredibly busy fall. So this is the next book that we will be doing. Then the next book does not have a boomerang associated with it, but it is part of the Guest Hollow curriculum that we are going to be reading, and that is 1984, and this is the graphic novel version. I also have this book on Kindle. They're free if you have Kindle Unlimited, so you can definitely get these and read them on a Kindle if you want. I did get the graphic novel version because I've heard a lot of people really like this. That's also why I got the Animal Farm graphic novel. I never actually realized that they did have graphic novels of these, but that seems to be something that is more and more available for what I would consider, just like classic high school literature. You can typically find some sort of graphic novel version, and sometimes that helps when your child is trying to get through the content. Because some of the books, I do find that some of the books, I thought about the same thing when I was in high school and even somewhat in college. Some of the books were just, I hadn't lived enough experience to understand what the books really meant. They could be great quality literature, but if I was just trying to get through it for a course, it wasn't really that great. And some of these books are some of my favorites now, today. So I want to make sure that the literature selections, he is getting as much out of the content as possible. So this is the next book that we have, this 1984 graphic novel. And then the last one is The War of the Worlds, and that is a boomerang, and I'm really excited about this book. And I think a lot of these do have movie components to them, so we will be doing the book and then the movie. I really enjoy doing that, kind of compare and contrast what the movie is versus what the original intent of the book was. So those are the literature selections for Jack for this year. I am really hopeful that this will be a good year. He's definitely on the younger side for some of the content for the government economics and personal finance course from Guest Hollow, but I think it's going to be a really good year for him. He has a pretty full schedule, so it will be interesting to see how everything goes, but I wanted to share these selections with you. Typically, I will do a full Brave Writer resources video each year because we have partnered the Sunlight Language Arts and Brave Writer for many, many years. However, I'm not doing as much Brave Writer with my oldest anymore, and Lucy has actually been a little bit younger than the ages that I really want to start Brave Writer with her. This year we may start to work more on darts, but I'm mainly focused on the Sunlight Language Arts for her right now, and that is Sunlight Language Arts 4. So these are the resources that I have picked for Jack. I'm really excited. I think that it's going to be a good year. He has this this thing where if he is told that he has to read a certain book, he just doesn't want to read it. And so I'm hoping that these will hold his interest. Some of them, like The Hunger Games, I know he already loves. So I think that will make it maybe a little bit easier. And I think that the books that I've chosen this year really appeal to a teenage boy. So that is what we are doing for the 2024-2025 homeschool year for my sun. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have questions about anything that I talked about, please let me know in the comments, or you can email me. My contact form is in the description box, as always. And if you want more help and encouragement around homeschool and goals and home management, I would love for you to come check out my membership community. That link is also in the description box. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.